Hello.
Right.
Well, wait, it's still
Right.
booting
She's
up.
trying to get live.
I got to do this whole. I'm learning how to. It's like I don't know. I'm like way more tech savvy than I probably ever wanted to be.
I'm sure.
Uh, my tech guy is like shout out to Kyle, my tech guy, because I've sent him over to some other folks. Okay, yes, so everybody, hello. This is attorney Robyn McCoy with RobynLegal, and we have our special guest attorney, the prominent attorney Lillian Diallo. We're here on a Friday. She has given us her time. We appreciate that. So Lillian, what I wanted to do is invite you on to the show. First, I just wanted to talk to you about, or ask you, like, what motivated you to become a lawyer?
I don't like bullies. I'm against bullies. I've always been against bullies since I was really small. I don't like when people get pushed around or taken for granted. I just wanted to become an attorney, I guess, so that I could fight the bullies for people.
Okay. So when you said the bullying, was this bullying that you saw when you were
Hmm.
in school?
Yeah, well, see, you always get bullied. There's always going to be a certain level of bullies and foolishness and entitlement and all of that. So I remember when I was younger, I would just watch, because I had brothers and I was the only girl. So it was pretty different growing up with brothers back then, right? Because you had to do everything. You had to fight for yourself, fend for yourself and all of that. So I don't know. I just don't like the whole concept of people being taken advantage of.
Right. Yeah, I have an older brother, so I know, and he was the firstborn, I was the second one, and so it's like he had his whole time, and then I came along. I guess whatever. He was upset, I guess, initially about that, but he adjusted, and then my sister came. But so you said you don't like bullies, and then what motivated you to do criminal defense? Because as we know, criminal defense it's not an easy field. It's like what the NBA has, the National Bar Association, they've said it's like the new civil rights area. It's one of the new areas.
Well, when you're a criminal defense attorney, you give a voice to the voiceless, you give a face to the faceless. So there's such a need. Now, I used to work for the city of Detroit when I first got out, and I was doing civil work. And civil, there is a need, but there's such a bigger need when we're dealing with criminal law and dealing with Black people that look like you and people that look like me, right? And you don't see a lot of females really doing criminal defense work. So I said, well, let's see what this is all about. So I tried it. I started in misdemeanor court, and I really kind of like it. It helps you get things in perspective. I think sometimes how blessed and how we take things for granted that should not be taken for granted. There are a lot of situations that we find ourselves in as Black people, and the situations can be untenable or just awful. There are times when we have issues and nobody listens. So it's giving a voice really to the voiceless. Look at how they take everything right now for granted, or we did. And then here's the pandemic. Right. Look at George Floyd.
Right.
Do you understand that we are watching things, the things that we never thought would come to pass? They're coming to pass right here, right now. We're watching a revolution. The revolution is being televised. But,
right.
Back to why I do criminal defense law. My mom, she was a registered nurse, right? And she worked at a lot of the hospitals in the Detroit area. I grew up in Detroit.
Okay.
Yay, Detroit.
Detroit in the house, and nurses in the house too, because as you know, I mentioned before, my mom's a nurse, so shout out to Nurse Pam out there. Yeah. So, yeah.
Right. And she came from Mobile, Alabama. Okay. My dad, well, he was from West Africa. Okay. From country Guinea.
Guinea, okay.
So, whoa, yes, my goodness. So, you get to hear stories of growing up. So I remember my mom and my aunt, they were talking about something so simple as driving and stopping at a Dairy Queen. Well, they stopped at a Dairy Queen and it's segregated because, they're from the South. And my mom said, well, I really want ice cream, right? So she wanted the ice cream. My aunt, who was the scrappiest fighter, the shortest thing, the best fighter under 5 foot I've ever seen, she had to fight their way out with a hammer.
Oh.
Yes, because I want ice cream. I'm spending my money to get something like ice cream. And it was segregated. And it was in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And so you heard stories about inequality. You hear stories about how foreign people are looked at and disparaged. And I knew firsthand because, hey, my dad was from a different country. And so you grow up kind of like, oh, I don't want anybody to know. I don't want anybody to know because we always want to fit in until you understand you get in. You get in where you fit in. And you just be comfortable being you. Be comfortable being the Black person. Be comfortable being African American for real. So that's why I wanted to do it, because I see how they treat people. I hear the story. I hear how they talk about us. You're an attorney, Robyn. You hear how we are disparaged by the very people that are supposed to help us, you would think, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. And and I've been teaching a class, and I've taught this class, Law and the African American Experience. In the first couple classes, we had a lot of Black women coming in, and they expressed that they said they wanted to become lawyers as well. And then this third time I'm teaching it, I actually have I'm having some brothers coming in, so I'm excited about that. So what would you tell some of the young people that are out there, that maybe high school or college, that are interested in becoming lawyers? What message would you have for them?
You can do it. Keep going. Don't let anybody say there are too many lawyers. Why do you want to be a lawyer? There's not a need. There is always a need for us to be in positions to challenge the space, right? There are people that want to keep a space a certain way. So we do know, being an attorney, being a Black female attorney,
right,
in criminal law is not easy. I've had other attorneys say, well, I wouldn't let anybody that looked like you represent me other than you. So if for men, I would never let another woman or a woman represent me in doing anything, right? But you could represent me if I got in trouble. I'm like, what makes you think I would? See, right. It's the choices. Don't let anybody tell you no. Right. Don't let anybody, and when I say no, about who you are and what you can be in life, I would tell them to persevere. I would tell them to know your history. Take history classes. Embrace English and literature. Embrace you. Give yourself credit. So why do you want to be a lawyer? Well, because, I would ask them, so why do you really want to be a lawyer? Is it that you think it's about money, prestige? If it's you, it's you. I would tell people, especially young people, just why don't you shadow me? I have a lot of young people that would shadow me. Okay. And some people went into law and some didn't. Right. One of my favorite human beings, and she's like my daughter now, she's been shadowing me since she was 14. Okay. She is now in her 30s, a mother. She should have gone to medical school like I told her, but she went into the military, and she has a very successful career in the military. Okay. But that was because she had to figure out who and what she was. So see if you like it. Travel around. I challenge people to read a little bit more to understand what the experience is or is not. But it's not the glamorous life that some people might think.
I thought, because see, for me, I had wanted to be an actress. I'm in the 8th grade, and you would remember Dynasty, the original Dynasty, and I'm like, I'm going to act. And then my dad was a lawyer, and I was around that, and I said, my parents made sure, because I went to predominantly white school, Catholic school, and they're like, oh no, you gonna know you Black. You see all this stuff, like, you gonna remember you Black. So they had me taking the Black classes, Congolese dance. They were like, you gonna know you Black. You're not gonna forget. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna act in the courtroom to help the brothers in the system. And I just thought when I was gonna be, when I'm coming into criminal defense and I'm jumping in, and I'm like, I thought I was gonna be in jury trials all the time. I'm gonna be fighting a good fight. And then we come in the system, and it's like, oh, they stacked a lot of charges here. We got to look at, and I'm like, okay, I tell the client, I like juries. I'll go. Let's do it. But then it's like, but that they stack the charges, and the client has to evaluate. You got to make that decision. You know, do you want to go to trial, or what are they? What are they offering you diversion? What kind of programming are they offering? You know, and some of the clients are scared. Some of the clients are like, no, I'm ready to go to trial. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. But then the issue with those clients, you know, too. Please tell me the truth. Don't let us be in the middle of a trial and you got me saying certain things and certain representing certain kind of things, and then some new stuff come out, and then that's where the acting skills come out. You gotta you know, a trial is like a living, breathing organism, and it's like it's no joke. And I know you've done a lot of like high profile cases as well. I know you've done like murder, rape cases. How do you deal with those kind of cases? How have you adjusted to handling those kind of cases?
Well, first of all, I'm so glad I'm where I am. We all, as long as we live in America, are entitled to representation. We are entitled to being not guilty until and unless you're proven guilty. And being where I am right now, how could I not do this, Robyn? How? Right. When you hear these charges, we have clients, and I know you have them, and I've had them, that said, look, this didn't happen the way it happened, right? I didn't do this. So how do you represent them? Because you represent the Constitution, first of all. And the absolute worst thing in my life that I've heard from people, I don't know how you could do what you do. That's a way of trying to demean who we are, who I am, and who you are, right? And when you say, I've been around white folks, you know, my parents are still black. Look, I was around white people as well, black and white. Mm-hmm. I went to a Catholic school my whole life, but you can't lose sight of who you are, and you can't buy into the narrative of who they think you're supposed to be. By way of example, I don't know if you've ever heard this. Oh, you're acting white or talking white. Well, not necessarily to me, but I've heard people say that. What does that look like? Right. I mean, because I speak in a complete sentence, we've got to stop holding up ideals of greatness that are European, right? Right. I see you got this black doll in your background, right? Right. Something so simple as when you have children, because I have 3 of them, thank you, Jesus, old and brown, you know, dealing with issues of race. Here's a black doll. And when you watch them playing with their peers, right, in little play groups, how they'll reject the white little kids will reject the black skin. Mm-hmm. We have to understand and stop trying to be apologetic for being black. Understand, I am unapologetically a black woman and glad and proud to be here. But there are a lot of people that penalize black, and I don't stand for that. So if you're a judge, if you are a doctor, a plumber, I don't care who you are, you're not going to penalize me and my skin color, because that's not a crime. And when we have got to stop giving them that power over us. And when I say that power, no, people say you're a racist. No, I'm not. No, I'm not a racist. I'm a realist. And I hear the awfulness of being black. I look at the jails when I'm going into the jails. I hear the jokes, you know, about, oh, that person must be on crack. I don't joke about my people to anybody. You know, and you've heard that in the courtroom. Some of the clerks and deputies, they'll joke about the client saying, oh, they're this, that, and the other. Well, I challenge them to say, if it was your family member, right, how would you want them treated, right? And when you're doing jury trials, and that's why I do them, as many as I do, because they need these trials. They need the ability to have a voice. They boy the men so bad in the criminal justice system, and we can be co-conspirators to that bullying. What does that mean? That means you will speak only when I speak to you. If I tell you you did this, they can be ultra aggressive with us, and we buy into that. Well, what did you do? Well, you saw what George Floyd did, and to this minute, there are people that say, well, he was a criminal. He was not somebody, whoever he was, that should be dead right now. Right. He's a human being. Only because of the power and how we don't challenge that space. He's dead, I believe, because You have officers that there's no sunlight between the police department and the judicial system.
Right.
That's not supposed to be. And we have got to keep pushing forward.
Right.
There is no tolerance anymore right now. There should be no tolerance in your life for foolishness as we see the revolution going on right now. I'm not taking it.
Right.
So what I think what happened when we have leaders as we have them in Washington, you awakened a lot of folks that would normally have stayed asleep.
Right.
We are not taking one iota, one bit of the madness that you're trying to push upon us anymore. We're challenging it
right.
at every step. And we just should, but guess what? We shouldn't either have to go through that. And you see Black people, you think, oh, they might be understanding. Not that we're trying to get anything.
Right.
I had a client yesterday in court. He's young. He was charged with homicide. Mm-hmm. I said, well, Judge, he's 17, standout, star athlete, all of that. I said, well, Judge, may I address bond? This judge tells me, nope. She says, this is my city. He comes into my city and commits a murder. I said, well, Judge, you need to recuse yourself. If that's how you feel about this person, you don't know anything. I said, well, let's understand. You don't even know if this is murder yet. You don't know the facts, but you want to be aggressive and treat me like I'm garbage, like he's garbage. You know, you fawn all over the prosecutor. Oh, it's so nice to see you, such and such and such and such. So I just waited. I said, well, Judge, you should really recuse yourself. And she got her head snapped up. I said, no, you're biased. And let's do this. You need to find out the facts. And just we'll have an exam, and I'm sure, it's not going to be fair. But this child tried to walk away from a situation. He tried to get everything in his power. But the bully, the older bully who had just gotten out of prison for attempted murder, kept messing with him and bothered him and followed him. And unfortunately, this situation happens.
And that's what happens. What we find a lot, what I've done with the work I've done in the delinquency courts and the school system. I do the educational advocacy. We need more lawyers to do that, to help with suspensions and expulsions. But it'll be like a mixed delinquency case. And a lot of times the kids that are the aggressors have been bullied. They've been bullied, and then they snap, like kind of like Moonlight. The kid snaps, and then they snap, and then they get in trouble. And then I'm like, but a lot of times we'll find out they have a disability. They've been bullied, and they didn't want to they have the whole culture about you don't want to snitches get stitches. You don't want to snitch. You don't want to tell that somebody's bullying you. Even though if you're in school, you say somebody's bullying me, you have rights that they're supposed to protect you. If they don't protect you, they can't just suspend you or expel you if you have a disability, things like that. And but yeah, I see that a lot. We have clients that are just pushed to the limit, and then they snap to defend themselves. And I know my mom, she's from Southside Chicago. Shout out to Nurse Pam. So she, the way she talks about it, I mean, the way we know the code of the streets is somebody's bullying you, and if you don't get back in their face, they're going to keep bullying you until you show some aggression. I mean, that's just how it is on the streets,
Isn't that awful? Isn't it? Because you just hit the nail on the head. Isn't that the absolute awful way that it is every time? You call us, and this is their favorite thing, emotional, or we're being aggressive, or angry Black woman.
Angry,
like,
yeah.
No. We're just not taking your garbage. So if I don't take your garbage, if I push back on your mess, then I'm the problem? No, you have always been the problem. You're the problem when you don't go along to get along. You do understand that, don't you, Robyn?
Right.
And we have got to understand we are better and we are more than they want us to know. And especially dealing with these kids in school, they put so much against Black young men, right? And Black females. They treat us ultra aggressive. It's a berating type of attitude. They almost seem to want you to fail, right?
Right.
And you have to understand who benefits if my child is knocked out of the loop. There is a certain class of people that will benefit from that. right? And we're not taking it. I'm not taking one iota, 1 second. And if you want to give it, I'm going to give it back. So, yeah, I might not be for everybody, and that's good because everybody is not for me. But you started. I'm not somebody that's just going to start up with you. If you start it, I will end it. In fashion.
That's because, see, for me, I try to be nice. I try to be, but if you come for me, I'm coming for you. So it's like, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be, my parents are like, you got to pick your battles. You can't just be fighting everything, because we have, look at us here now. We have comorbidities. We have a healthcare system. We have to deal with we're in an American apartheid system where we have to deal with oppression. Yeah. So it's like, you can't, every time somebody pisses you off, you can't snap. But there does come a time when you're gonna be like, okay, like you see, I had a headscarf issue, and I haven't let go of the headscarf issue because I'm like, my mom, it was a Nigerian woman that showed her how to wrap her head in high school, and I've grown up wearing Afrocentric attire, and we danced in African dance troupes, and then I did an ancestry DNA, and it came up that the majority of my ancestry, it came up as majority African, so I was happy about that. But it was Nigerian too. It was Nigerian and Benin, Togo. But the point is, this is a cultural thing. And then I've had white people messing with me, and I deal with it. I try, you don't want to snap, you don't want to act like because they're angry black. You don't, but you're gonna have to let folks know, like, you mistreated me. This is unacceptable. But then at the same time, you have some black folks that bully you too. That's like the Willie Lynch effect. And then it's like, oh no, we got to talk about this because it's wrong. If you're gonna come after, if the white people do it, you say it's wrong. It's wrong when black folk do it too. And I agree with you. I have kids that have disabilities or struggles. Some of the black kids, they don't have disabilities. They just, maybe they've been neglected a little bit and they need some support, but they lash out in anger, and people misinterpret their anger. They don't understand. It's a cry for help.
But kids, they may not be able to articulate really what's going on, but you better understand and believe there is implicit bias and systemic racism issues in education. Right? So there are black folks that we have to fight, white folks. We have to fight a lot of people sometimes because I don't know if assimilation is the right word for it, but I think when we have issues maybe with who and what we are, we will go to the other end and go, see, look, I'm one of you. No, it's okay. You can be comfortable being you. So the implicit bias in healthcare exist. We know that because we see what happened with COVID-19. Any of us that knew this was not something new to us. And the reason why COVID-19, I believe, took such a hold in our community the way it did was because of the disinformation, the misinformation. We were being turned away from hospitals 2, 3, 4 times. I don't know if they had a conversation that said, well, only the ones that you deem worthy can come in here, right?
Right.
We know that when COVID-19 first started, there were only 300 tests in the whole state of Michigan. 300. So those tests weren't being given to us, okay? We were sent home to die and deal with it. They make the women feel like they're being hysterical when they try to seek medical help, or you're a drama queen, or you're this. Well, if the person that doesn't look like me, that has a different skin hue, is not being hysterical, then I'm not being hysterical.
Right.
And right, so many problems that we have to face and fight every single day, but fight we must. We have to educate the medical profession. Now they're talking about the implicit bias. It's like, okay, well, that's good. But they still can be a bit much. Remember, they're just human beings too, right? In the legal profession, look at some of these rulings that cut against us all the time. Now, I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
You have the Governor Whitmer outrage, right, where they were planning to do A, B, C, D. Absolutely, you are innocent until and unless you're proven guilty. This cat, they had a significant bond, $10 million. it was reduced today 100,000, 10%. And you're like co-conspirators on some capital, on some serious stuff, right?
Right.
We come into court, we have like a stolen car or something like that. We're going to give you 100,000. An attempted, not attempted murder, a great bodily harm case where it could be true self-defense, right?
Right.
We're going to give you a $500,000 bond. Yes. This is not where you do that. See, we've got to challenge the narrative way more than we do, right? And understand, doctors are not gods, judges are not gods, lawyers, none of these people are gods,
right?
But they come with biases, and you have to be able to stand up. Lord knows it's hard, and push forward. And then when you do achieve some measure of success in your profession, they come for you. When I tell you they come for you, they come for you. Only because you will not bow down to them. I'm not put on this earth to bow to you.
Right.
You do understand that you're not put on this earth to bow to another. So we have a lot of work to do, but it has to start first with us understanding and appreciating us, and we always seem to want to have drama with us, right? First, that's a way that I believe comes from slavery, pit us against each other, right? And then you'll fight for the crumbs while we got the whole cake over here.
Right.
I'm not fighting for crumbs, right? I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to take care of what I'm supposed to take care of and who I'm supposed to take care of. So when you say you're going to represent a client, represent them. Don't stand out there in the hall or anywhere talking about these people, how dare them. Because when they say these people, that's you they're talking about.
Right.
So we have got to step back, assess, and step forward. And don't let any of these people stop you. Don't let them put these stigmas on you where you feel uncomfortable being in your own skin, right? Look, I believe in Black is beautiful.
Right.
Because I came from that era. Remember the fist and all that. Now,
power to the people.
Yeah, now, and that's not being racist. When you hear somebody say Black Lives Matter, oh, that's racist. Well, hold on. That's not racist. All it's saying is our lives do matter. Right? So if just because we don't support Klan activity doesn't mean we're racist.
It's
just because we're saying don't shoot us in our back. So when I hear all these people talking about Hillary, remember they did the Hillary thing, and I said I knew. Well, I kind of started figuring because I was listening. It was the liberals, right?
Right.
I'm sure, oh my goodness, talking awful about. I'm like, oh Jesus, and she's this and she's that. A lot of that came from she was a woman, and maybe she wasn't the best candidate, right? So now we got the person we have in office now, right? And people are saying, well, we have an agenda. We want our agenda. Look, all I can say is I've never seen anything like this in 23 years of practice. I've never seen what I'm seeing, what we have been seeing, and how people are degraded and treated on these streets. I am not against law enforcement. I am against law and disorder and dysfunction. I am against them thinking they're better and brutalizing us. You have a bad day at home, you're going to stop us and take it out on us, right? If a white dude can be stopped in a car and survive, then my child, a Black person should be able to be stopped in a car with all things similar and everything is the same, right? It should not be a different outcome for you only because of your skin color and because of the racism that exists. We have to talk about these things. Some people think it's okay to brutalize us, right? You're having a bad day. If you've seen some of the tapes that I've seen, where these police officers, it's like they don't even care they have these cams on. And they're just wailing and doing the god-awful, inhumane things that you wouldn't want anybody to do to you or yours. So
it's the bullies, just like you said. You have some police. I think most police are good, but you've got some of these bullies, and we've had clients over the years that have told us about it. But now we've got the camera, you know what scripture says, what's done in the dark will come to light. So it's coming to light. And it's like, America has got to understand, just like when we were looking at South Africa at the apartheid system in America, the people are looking here. People in the world are looking at America, and they're like, no. And then we as a people, you know, you had this people in the 60s, you had some folks that, you know, you had black folk and some white folk. You have more white folk that are like, no, that's not, we're not having it. We're not having it. We're going to be in the streets. We're going to be on, you know, you see me. I'm like, I've gone way further than I ever thought with social media. But I mean, I guess God had a plan, because I'm like, hey. And then, you know, you've been a part of when I've done the What to Do When Stopped by the Police. When I heard about Trayvon Martin, it was a coworker that told me. And when I heard about it, I cried. I prayed on it, and then the Lord was like, start doing What to Do When Stopped by the Police. So that's why I was doing it, and you see now I'm doing it online, and so that's what I have you here, Miss Esteemed Black Woman Warrior Lawyer, Miss Diallo. What tips would you have to say, to give to parents to tell their kids, or to the kids that are watching, what you would say when they get stopped by the police?
You have to survive the stop. That's first and foremost. And that's such an awful concept, survive the stop. So, you know, I have, like I said, 3 kids. And the talk that we all have to have with our children, girls are not excluded either.
Right.
Because Sandra Bland is dead to this moment, right?
Breonna Taylor. Yep.
Breonna Taylor. So what do I tell you, young people? And please listen to me when I tell you this, young people. I love you. I don't care how horrible people may think you are or they say you are. I absolutely love you. Every life is valuable. Even though they didn't breathe it into you, we don't want them stomping it out of you. So you just stop everything. So if you are pulled over by the police, first make sure turn that radio off as you're being pulled over. You don't need that distraction. Also, there is an app that you should download. It's like an ACLU app or something that starts recording immediately. You need to hit that, right? And not only does it start recording, it goes actually to an active speaker with somebody on the other side. Say you can actually hear in real time what's going on.
Right.
But just stop and comply. And when I say comply, I know you're angry. And even worse than that, you're scared. And young men, I've had this conversation. I have a son with his friends coming over. When they think we're playing with this is no joke.
Right. I have a nephew.
My kitchen table, and they were young. They're maybe in the 10th grade. Big old strapping, athletic guys. And one of them said, I'm scared. About the police. I'm scared of being stopped. He said, really, because they're hearing this information. It's not like they live in a bubble and they're dumb and ignorant like people want to think.
Right.
They're taking this information in. The Trayvon Martins, right? The Jordan Edwards, all of these stories.
Right. Tamir Rice. Yep.
Tamir Rice, 12, right? There's so many, and you shouldn't even have to name them, but you just have to stop and survive the stop. If you could survive the stop, we'll take care of the rest, right? Let us get into a courtroom. If they do whatever it is they do, do not give them consent to search a damn thing.
Right.
Ever. Do not give them a statement if they're going to arrest you. And always remember, they're being 9 times out of 10, you will be recorded. Everything is going to be recorded from their perspective. They may forget, but don't you forget. And go in, comply, so you can fight. So somebody else can fight. You can have the warriors fight for you. That's what we're put here for. And one of the young men I can share, like it was last year. I love these kids because they're always around. I love children way more than I do adults. And I remember I was watching something on TV. It was a Saturday. My son, he was working for the summer, and my daughter, she was working, and I don't know where the youngest one was, but an alert popped up on my iPad, a crash on 8 Mile, 2 dead. I'm like, I got a really bad feeling, right? So I know even in my logical mind, I said, well, your son your son is at work. So I texted him and he said, I'm good, Mama, when he could.
Right.
So that it was a Sunday morning. The next morning, we're getting ready to leave to go to some tournament with the youngest. And my son, big guy, he came down. He said, it's bad. And I'm like, what's bad, son? He said, he's dead. I said, this boy, the police were trying to pull him over. We don't know why to this moment, right? Their protocol was breached. And I know I had that conversation with him. He did not stop. You understand? Mm-hmm. He ran. And the car hit him, and he's dead.
Right.
And people say, well, so he was running from the police. You have to look at the history.
Right.
Of why. They're not just running. You bugs are pulling Philando Castile. Right? And then there'll be a wall that upholds that kind of thing. Right. And Trayvon Martin broke my heart. My heart is still broken over that. And Jordan Edwards. Let's talk about him.
Right.
And these are the things that these kids know. Jordan Edwards, I think this was in Texas a few years back. He was 15. He was at a party, upper middle class kids. Him and his two brothers. They did everything correct. The way that the father said there was something going on at the party where something was jumping off. They are in the car leaving. The police are pulling up. Okay, they're leaving. One of the police officers, there was a big loud like that. Right. He takes his gun out. And he shot that boy in his head and killed him, but they were in the car.
Right. I remember
the police, remember, he lied and said the car, they know what they're doing, right? They know with buzzwords. They know the man talk. They know the talk. I feared for my life.
Right.
That car was nowhere near them. And he said the car was coming in. After you shot and killed the boy in the head, okay? Now, he's still in the car. The car stops, of course. The brothers had been calling their dad. The dad couldn't hear, didn't hear any more from him. So he goes to the police station, right? In the meantime, they stopped the car. They were aggressive, awful. Now remember, their dead brothers' bodies in the car. The two other brothers are out. Right. They made them get out the car, walk back, but you could just see, Neil, they were just awful. They talked to them like they were just beneath contempt. And these are the good old boys that we're supposed to look up to. You got to be kidding. Right. The fathers at the police station. He said they knew because his sons hadn't been brought in yet. Right. They threatened to arrest the father. Do you understand me? Who's at the police station. So yeah, you're there to protect and serve. And don't you ever tell me that you should just do what they want you to do. We can't drive while blind. Right. We can't walk down the street.
We can't jog. Ahmaud
Martin.
You can't. Right.
Ahmaud Arbery. They went and assassinated Ahmaud Arbery.
Right.
Assassinated him. And then the good old boy that put it up on the video and they recorded it. It was like, well, damn, what the hell? And thank God they got him too, because that was a plan. Right. They had planned, and he was filming in real time.
He thinks he's gonna get away with it. See, that's just it. It's just this whole mindset. Like you talk about, like we talk in the class about racism versus prejudice. Everybody has prejudice, but racism is when you have economic power. You're in a position of power, and you abuse. You go over. You're actually lynching Black people, Black men, women, and children in the streets. It's like, I feel like my dad got me one of those recorders you can put in your car. You can get it at Walmart. But I feel like the lawyers, we need to get together, maybe with the National Bar and the Criminal Defense Bar, and have it where you have a button that you push, and the lawyer will come up on the screen and watch everything and monitor the police. Because if the police are going to be like the police right now, they're acting like they're judge, jury, and executioner right there, then you need the lawyers to be right there. Have a lawyer zoom right up in there, or have a lawyer squad and okay, officer, we're watching you. You need to be following the rules. Don't be.
They don't care. Robyn, they do not care. The arrogance of their positioning, they would not care one bit, one whit. And they'll look at you in your face until you take them down. You understand me? They don't care. And it's not all of them. Let's get this straight.
Right.
It's not all of them. There are good and bad everywhere. But when you have the culture, when you have the idiocy that we have right now in Washington, you are supporting racism, sexism. You know, you're telling the police everything. You're telling the police, hey, don't be gentle with them when you arrest them. So that man, that whatever he was, that killed George Floyd, if you look at that video, look at his face. He knew what he was doing.
It's sick. He's sick. It's like no different than when you watch the pictures of the lynchings back in the day. You see the little kids standing there, and it's like nothing. It's like it was just, yeah. It's a messed up situation. It's a lynching. It's like we you know, in my class we were reading about, you know, the history of blacks being brought over here from 1619, the court cases, Dred Scott, Plessy versus Ferguson. You know, the ups and downs you get. Depends on who the judges are, whether you get a favorable result. Brown versus Board of Education, Milliken versus Bradley goes the other way. Then you come up to now, you got to deal with, I mean, it's just, I just feel like as a black person in America, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of time and energy to be a black person. It's like, it's almost like I talked about acting. We're playing a role, but it's a role, like you said, it's about survival. We want to survive. We want to live a good life just like anybody else. We want, you know, you can go to other places in the world and not have to be, you can go to parts of Africa. You won't get profiled. You won't get harassed. But when you come to America, we say all this stuff about it's supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, but it's not for black folks in certain areas. You go to certain places and you're not going to get no love, and it's not, and that's wrong. And I mean, to me, I'm like, God sees everything. God sees everything. So it's like for those people out there that just want to be brutalizing people, black people, God is watching you, okay? In America, you know, there's going to be a reckoning. I don't know. It could be part of the reckoning now. I don't know. I mean, I just get in my word. I pray about it. I try to do my best. Like you said, when you take a case, you try to work the case. You try to help the client. You try to pour into the client to help them get into this system, which is a prison industrial complex. It's just, it's a cattle call for the clients. And that's, you know, when the beginning of COVID, you see how you had commanders getting COVID. You had people still in jails and prisons. I know with you've worked with the criminal defense bar. We filed motions to help people to get out. And it's like before COVID, you had from some prosecutors and judges, they still exhibit, some of them still exhibit a lack of compassion. But it's like when the COVID started coming from the prisoners into the police, then it was kind of like, oh, well, we got to be more concerned about this. But it's like the conditions of the jail. But it's like, well, y'all should have been concerned about this before. Why would it take COVID for you to be, you can put people, like you go to other places, other countries, they incarcerate people, but they don't keep them in dirty, unsanitary conditions like we do here in America. It's just, you know, it's supposed to be innocent till proven guilty. But it's and a lot of times it's guilty until proven innocent. And then we as defense attorneys, we get treated too, because we're with the client. It's almost like we get put in second class citizenship. We have to go through security. You know, the prosecutors can just wave a badge. And I'm like, well, we got our bar card. Why can't we just go through like they are? I mean, and I'm like, because obviously if an attorney does anything, what stops the prosecutor from wigging out? You know, we're all attorneys. So why can't we come through? Why do we have to go through and be, you know, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of times you're sitting there in court and you catch hell because of what your client is accused of doing. And then your client is innocent till proven guilty. But that's not the way the courts, some of the courts look at it as guilty till proven innocent.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. See, within the system itself, because it is so biased, a lot of times, right? We have to build that trust into our client. Our client, because they've been treated so wrong for so long, right? They're untrusting of anybody listening and helping them. That's our challenge. So I will fight them. Everybody. People don't understand when we walk into a courtroom. Sometimes this is who we have to fight. We got the prosecutor, the court reporter, maybe the deputies, maybe the court clerk, maybe the judge, maybe all of them. And I've been in those situations are against you. You can fight all of them, but I cannot fight them and you and your family.
Right.
Now, I don't do all of that. But you must understand that they're coming from a place of scared and hurt and anger and dejection and rejection. They built this into our kids from day one.
Right.
We need to pull more Black male teachers into the system so they can see these positive role models. It's not like they're not out there. They're just not being placed in front of them. Right. But when you look at the crime stats and people say, well, yeah, we understand that about police brutality or whatever it is. The next thing they're going to say is, what about Black on Black crime? That's the biggest bunch of garbage. I want everybody to understand me when I say that.
Right.
It's not Black on Black crime. It's criminal on victim. You make it Black on Black to diminish us and what you do to us, right? And understand most crime is going to be interracial, where you live, around the same people. And they pressurize it so much being Black, right? We are under so much pressure. Most times we can't even go to the police for help, because if we do go to the police, then the next thing you know, we're a victim. And we're into something. It's something. We're an aggressor. It's something. Right. We can't take the chance of going to them sometimes. And understand this, 80% of crime perpetrated against white people is perpetrated by other white people. You don't hear people saying, what about white on white crime?
They need to talk about white on white crime, because they be talking about Black on Black. What about white on white? The thing about the white on white is if they're in certain areas where the police come, they don't profile. They're not profiling in the white on white areas like they are in the Black on Black areas. And now you don't have the light shining on in the white community like they do in the Black community. So it's an excuse. It's garbage. You are brutalizing human beings. You are brutalizing Black people, Black men, women, and children, because it's a system. It's a systematic racism. It's an apartheid system. And it's like, and what the kids are saying to me, because, I'm still doing the programs. I'm sure I'll be calling you once I don't know, we doing it virtual now. We're not doing it in person like we were. But what the kids keep saying to me when I go talk to them is like, Miss McCoy, okay, thank you for giving us these tips, but are you talking to the police? Have you talked to the police? Who's talking to the police? Because we appreciate that you're doing this, but we wouldn't have to have these survival classes if the police were acting right. And I'm like, you are right. We need to have more conversations with the police. The police need to police themselves. I don't like it. We see where police officers, innocent police officers get killed. That's a human life. I don't like that. But I don't like it either. The reason we say Black Lives Matter is because in America, the Black is on the bottom, the white is on top, and the Black is a devalue. They call us animals, they savages, all kinds of stuff. You just look at the history of the oppression. Native Americans, most of them wiped out. Some of them intermarried with us, because I've got some in my family. But and then Black folks, Black women and men, raped, brutalized, brought from Africa over here, and we thought we were free after the Civil War, and then 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, then they bring in the Jim Crow laws, and then you have the Civil Rights era with Martin Luther King. Once again, we think we got some advantages, and we do have some advantages, but then here we are, 2020, and it's, once again, we're dealing with oppression, and it's supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. And it's like, what's going on?
Anger. And racism was meant for the lowest of man, right? So way back when, they said, well, yeah, you might have it bad, but at least you're not, an N-word, right? Or Black person, right? So while they were stealing and taking all their riches, they turned them towards us so that they could continue to build their generational wealth and all of the things. And you focus on this. You don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out, but go, you're still better than that one over there. And that's the prevailing still thoughts for some of them. Okay. Do I like it? No. Do you challenge it? Every chance you get, but you have to know how. It's like a 3D chessboard, what I think it is that I do as an attorney. It might be this way one day, 1 minute, and then it's this way. So you got to know which way to move in real time, because they're always trying to shut fairness out of this process. All I want is for this process to be fair to everybody. Okay.
Okay.
Irrespective of your skin color, irrespective of monetary status in life, it shouldn't be like it is. And I'm doing like coalition work. Never done that before. That's a little different, right? So now, and people are uncomfortable with this, and I'm watching them kind of step back some. These young people right now have gotten further in 5 months, 6 months, right, than folks have in 30 to 40 years of civil rights movement. And people are uncomfortable with that. Right. They're uncomfortable with not being idolized and hey, come help right here. I'm here to help you. Follow me because you're too dumb to do it on your own.
Right.
These young people have moved in leaps.
Right.
Right. We're looking at Detroit Will Breathe, and the Black Lives Matter, all of those things, and they are out on these streets to this moment. Right. These young people are effectuating change. And that scares a lot of folks that say, oh, we're liberal, we're this. Yeah, you're all of that until somebody doesn't listen to you, right? A lot of people that are in this quote unquote struggle with us, they like being adored.
Right.
They love the whole thing of I'm helping those less fortunate, so I'm a good person. There's some wretched people out there saying that they're helping us. Right. They're helping us for what reason? They're helping us to feel good about themselves. Somebody sent me a video when Hakeem Littleton got killed. Remember the young man over there on 6 Mile and San Juan or 7 Mile area, right? He got killed. He got out the car. I'm telling you, he was wrong for shooting at the police, whatever's going on. But understand all the things that are in his head and the images that's in his head of what we're seeing, how unfair the police are, how they're brutalizing. They know what they're doing to these cats on the streets. They're beating some tail out there, right? Being just brutal and unfair. Was it right? No. Got off the car, shooting at the police, running. You do realize that the fatal shot to Hakeem Littleton was after he was on the ground subdued. So they had kicked the gun. He was under control. An officer walked over and shot him in his head.
Right, I saw that. It's like they're hunting, it's like deer season. It's like they're hunting an animal in the wild. And it's like, oh, we're going to make sure we get him. I'm like, what a lot of people have said to me when they see some of these videos is like, what about shooting somebody in the foot? I know my friends that are officers
you didn't have to shoot him in the hand.
Right.
Period. He was under control. You didn't have to shoot him anywhere when he's under control. Right. That's the whole thing. I know, and they're taught, and I'm talking my little classes for shooting, for gun training. They teach you to shoot to kill. Right?
I know. They say shoot center mass. They say that.
Right. But what I'm saying is, and that was a situation where you should have stopped. Right. He was under police control at the time the fatal shot was fired. His gun was kicked away. So, whatever it is, but there were some young girls, they were out there. Yes, they were twerking. They were, just, no justice, no peace. They was F-U, racist, A police. They were twerking. Yes, they were. The cops were lined up. And people were saying to some of my colleagues, that is so embarrassing, such and such. I'm like, no, it's not. Go, you get it, sisters. You go on out there and you do what you have to do. They have been showing their tail to us for years, right? So if I'm standing there and I'm doing and I'm twerking or whatever, and I'm protesting, how does that bother you? And that's that classism that they try to build into us to separate us from them. It's no us and them. We're all together. We are all together. Right. Like you said, the lynch effect. Well, we separated by skin color, hair, texture, and all of that. We're not doing any of that. I don't believe in that. Right. And some of us do. It works. It absolutely works. I'm for
Clarence
my
Thomas.
people.
Clarence Thomas.
I'm not against my people. I am for my people. So, when you hear these erroneous and dumb arguments every day about, well, what about this? Look, if you're a racist, you're a racist. Call a racist, right? Whenever I see a Trump Kent sign, and I see a racist lives here. That's just because of what we have been exposed to in all these years. And the hypocrisy of who they are is not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on anyone else. You talk about, and some of us stupid people want to follow behind these ignorant logic thought games. Well, we don't necessarily know about Biden because blah, 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 and he might pack the court. You packed the court. You stole three Supreme Court seats. Merrick Garland. Right. Remember that?
Right.
We got this Kavanaugh dude, right? Now we got this other girl. So at least three you have stolen. So, I mean, they will evaluate and they do what they have to do. But don't you tell me about packing a court. That's what you've done. They are hypocrites. And they are ruining this country. We are in tatters now because you want to feel good about who you are. And you think that dude at the top cares about your poor self?
He don't care. He don't care. Right?
It's all about the money.
Right.
The money.
And you see Mitch McConnell now, they said he's got some kind of condition. His skin is like blue. And I mean, I don't wish anything bad on him. But again, as I said, I'm in the scripture. And for people out there talking about they're going with Trump because of the spiritual, but you got to look at Biden is spiritual. You got to have just, you look in the Bible, you got to have discernment to who is really for the people. And for me, it's not even a question. So it's like Trump is like, he has done so many things that are immoral. And then you have Biden. I mean, okay, he had a crime bill. And in South Africa, they made mistakes. And then they said, okay, we're going to fix the problems. Who better to fix the problems than somebody who helped to create the mess? But Trump ain't trying to fix the problems. Trump is just out for himself. And he's trying to, it's like raise up I don't know. It's just crazy. You got, it's a dog whistle. It's the dog whistle to people out there. And they don't realize there's people who are brainwashed. Oh, white supremacy. Oh, Trump is for us. He ain't for you. He don't, if you came up and touched him, try to hug him, he push you away. Oh, don't touch me. He ain't for you. It's about, that's what I did like about the recent protests is that it's Black, white, Indian, everybody you can't, cause it's like, everybody waking up. Everybody back in the day, it was some white people out there, rah, rah, rah. No, but there's some white people like, oh, no. This is my stuff. We see this. You can't excuse this, and we need more white people to be out there because Black people been doing it. We've been doing a lot of the work. So white folk, that's what I said. It's like when I did my little video about if you want to protest in the street or virtually, whatever, white folk, you can do stuff. I think we're all God's children. We all have a way that we can help to advance humanity. This is like something like United Nations should be looking at these issues that we as Black people in America are facing because it's just insane. And what I talked to you about earlier too with lawyers, in Detroit, there are a lot of Black lawyers, but statistically, there's only 5% of lawyers are Black, only 36% of women. So we need more Black people to become lawyers. That's what I tell people. I'm like, if you're a Black person in America, you either need to have some close friends that are lawyers or you need to become a lawyer because so you know these laws so you can look at the laws, you can see how they say the laws are supposed to apply to you, but they don't always follow the rules, but you're better off understanding the laws than going around being ignorant because we see people that don't know the laws and we see them when they're at their worst, when they're in the jail, when they call us and they're on the street and they've been arrested and they've already given away all their rights. And it's like, that's why I was like, oh no, I can't keep doing this, and I know a lot of us criminal defense attorneys, it's a cycle. It's a kettle. You talk about slavery and the people in the slave ships, and then you go, when I first started in Detroit and I went that's when they would have you go back in the cell and it's crowded with all brothers up in there and you talking to them and it's like the new slavery. It's the new Jim Crow. It's a mess.
Well, I know, but it's built for that. It's built to help the ones that are enforcing the laws, right? That's what this system is built for. Listen, police were originally formed to catch runaway slaves. They're still trying, right? They're still looking at us as people that they have to catch and capture. So we need to be honest about this. And when you see the Black and whites in the streets, because I've been out there marching too with them, when George Floyd called for his mamas came, Black, white, red, orange, we came.
Right.
And we're going to keep coming. And I love it. I think there are more things that bring us together than that separates us. But we have someone in Washington that just wants to keep on making noise and this and that to separate us so that his people can make all the money and destabilize this country, right? I'm looking at the debate last night, and he was like, well, you built the cages. And I know Joe had to be cool, right?
Right.
But I was yelling at the TV, I might have built them, but you put the kids in them.
Right.
Who would ever have envisioned kids being put in cages?
And,
right?
And some of them,
okay.
what 400, 500, almost 500 separated from their parents, and they're trying to act like, oh, it just makes me think of like the Handmaid's Tale. They're separating them from the parents, and then all of a sudden they're gonna probably put them with some other they're Hispanic, put them with some white families, which I'm not saying I have issues with cross-cultural adoptions or foster care, but they have real parents. Everything should be done to get those kids back to their real parents. And then for him to call people coming over here trying to seek asylum from oppressive countries coyotes, like they're animals and all that. They're human beings. They're coming here, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like telling some people, like, look, we may need to come over where y'all are. So I don't know, y'all coming over here, but we may need to, I don't know. After the election, we may have to come. We may have to go to Mexico. I talked to my friends in Mexico. Canada, I know Canada ain't trying to have us right now, but Canada, hey, y'all was a home of the free before. Y'all, we might, give us free. I'm a style.
Yeah, we're going to keep fighting, right? And understand, we will continue. So when they talk about, oh, you blacks and affirmative action, blah, 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 the biggest benefactor of affirmative action was the white woman, not us. I just want, and we're talking about just equalizing, not giving anybody a leg up, equalizing. So, I mean, yeah, we're dealing with racism, we're dealing with issues of class and all of that, but I've seen some sunlight now. I've seen the spirit of cooperation, because there was a pregnant white lady, she held up a sign that said, if my son went for a bag of Skittles and didn't come back, if my son was playing in the park and did not come back, if my son was jogging and did not come back, I would burn your damn country down too. So let's be honest about this. Don't you try to deflect and talk about looting and all that. That's garbage. That's a way for you to justify your bull, right? So the looters and all of that, there are people that are out there doing that.
Right.
But listen to me, they're not looking like me and you. They're provocateurs.
Right.
Right. There are people on the far right. I you know how I feel, Robert. I hate extremes on both sides, because what that is doing is tearing this country apart. You're either going to be extreme to the right or extreme to the left, or we can't talk. Well, no. There's a whole bunch of us that can think for ourselves, and we don't want to be extreme anything, right? And you're not going to ostracize and make at least me, because I vote and I do what I want to do. You can't tell me I'm not aligned with anybody ever, but I'm not going to be on any extreme, because that hurts us, right? The extremes are what's killing this country. It's such a pressurized situation. You either have to do it all this way or all that way. Well, what about the ones that don't want to do that?
Right?
And then you try to bully us? That's why I'm who I am, because you're not bullying me, and I'm not letting you bully those that the least of us. Why would I? That's where I put on this earth. I stand in the gap. There are bridges, right? I was offended years ago when I was listening to the jail calls, and I listen to those from your clients when they're locked up. They called me Harriet Tubman. I'm like, Harriet Tubman? Until I thought. They said, you're taking more of us to freedom. And you get those out of the way. If you got to point a gun at them and say, get out of the way, you can stay in slavery if you want to. If that's right. But I need to free this one.
Right.
If this one wants to be free, get out of my way.
Right.
I mean that.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, and that's what we need more lawyers like you that are doing that, because it's like, come on. Because I mean, that's what I say too. Just like we say to the police, if you're going to be a police officer and you're scared of black people, don't be a police officer. If you're going to be a defense attorney and you're scared of black people, or you don't just be pleading people. These are human beings. Don't just be coming up in there to collect a check. If you're not in it to win it, to really help people, don't come up in this field. This is a profession. You got to be coming like as I said, for me, I look at it, as I said, I'm a spiritual person. God allowed me to be able to do what I do. You got to think about it. We were brought here as slaves. They wouldn't even let us read the Bible. For us to be able to do what we do is a miracle in itself. So it's like, but you take it as a gift. To be able to be a lawyer, you got to be able to help other people. And like you said, what's beautiful, like I talk to my students, it's not just me lecturing to them in class. I want to hear from the youth, because it's like the adults, I'm like, y'all, I'm like, look, y'all, the adults are messing up. Some of the adults are the kid, y'all, it's up to y'all now. I'm helping to give y'all some tools, but I'm like, look, the adults are messing up, y'all kids. It's a reversal, because I'm used to my mom, Nurse Pam. She would come with the belt. She would whoop me. I mean, she didn't whoop me all the time, but she whooped me enough so I would listen. But now it's almost like the kids got to come and whip some of the parents, some of the parents that are racist, that are out of line. I'm not saying that you actually should be violent with your parents, for folks out there that are sensitive or whatever. But okay. But I am saying you got to come with the knowledge. You got to bring the knowledge. You got to bring Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. You got to bring Brian Stevenson's Just Mercy. Have the parents read it to them. Have them. You can listen to it on audiobook. You can't even use an excuse. Oh, I don't want to read it. You got, look, John Lewis's March. Okay, educate them, because they're watching the TV or social media or whatever. They're being programmed to think that our president is for all of us when he is not. Look at Taiwan. They have like maybe 7 people dead in Taiwan. South Korea, they got it together. America, it's embarrassing to me, because, I've lived in South Africa, France, I've been to India, I've been in Zimbabwe, I've traveled, I've been in other countries, and I've been to London, and I'm like, this is embarrassing, this chapter right now. I just think about how other people in other countries are looking at America, because America is a wonderful, beautiful country. How do I know? Because we built this country. That's why. We still wait for our reparations, 40 acres and a mule, or, as I said, free tuition for college, don't have us pay for taxes, free health care. Native Americans, some of them get benefits, shout out to my friends. But I'm saying America is just, what did Michelle Diallo says, there's in her song, she said the white man should forever sleep with one eye open. And the way I look at that is, again, I go from a moralistic perspective. You should sleep with one eye open, because if you come from a people that has been oppressing a people, you need to atone for that. Truth and reconciliation. That's what they did in South Africa. They did things to make up for the wrongs of the past. They said, yes, we did this wrong, and we're going to give money. We're going to give education. They put electricity, water in the shanty towns. And again, that's South Africa. That's supposed to be like a third world country. But we got conditions like that here in America. Flint, Detroit, third world conditions, COVID-19.
On purpose. You do understand that, right? It was on purpose. So Detroit lost 90% of its federal funding under Coleman Young, because Coleman Young called Reagan, whatever, prune face or something. And in spite of that, he kept it going, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there are things that are done purposely to oppress us. And, we have to understand our oppressors. And it's historical, and we can go past that. We can move past that. I really believe that. But one of the things, and I'll let you go after this, that has always kept me from thinking somebody was better than me. I would think about slavery, what they used to do to what they call breaking the slaves, right? How evil. They would defecate in our mouths. You understand that? Mm-hmm. The men would rape our men in front of their wives, saying they were breaking them. No, you're just a freak. That's what that was, right?
Right.
So every animalistic thing. So I think of that and say, better? That's better?
Right.
No. So those are the things that keep me moving forward. And it's not arrogance. I don't have time for arrogance. But I'm not going to be on my knees saying, yes, a massa. No, those times are over. And we have to have a meaningful dialogue about those times, so that there's the hurt is acknowledged. Like you said, I was always saying, 40 acres and a mule. Well, you see what they just did with that stimulus package, pulled it out like that. They want to keep that wealth contained within their space, right? They don't ever want us to be at any level of comfort because of these antiquated ideas and notions of race in America. And it's not a lot.
Right.
It's probably the rich people. They just want to keep it like that and keep us fighting each other so that they can continue to amass fortunes beyond fortunes. Look at the DeVos family, right? That, you know, the Halliburton is mixed up with the DeVos family.
Right.
And so, right, I mean, that's wealth. They allegedly signed contracts within the family saying, these are standards you will not fall beneath, right?
Right.
You know, we have to have that too. And I tell my kids, it wasn't an option for them. It's like, well, wait a minute. You're going to school. I mean, you get to pick which one, because it wasn't an option for me, right?
Right.
But that's not how some of us are living, right? We got to reach them. We got to go reach and bring our babies up.
Right.
You understand? We shouldn't have young blacks and young black kids, boys and girls, committing suicide or thinking about those things.
Right.
That's what's being breathed into them.
Right.
We gotta stop.
We gotta reverse it. We gotta give them love. We gotta educate them, build them up, love them, and that's
teach
why
them.
Teach them.
Teach them. They are teachable.
Yeah.
You don't just sit up there and say they're not teachable, because it benefits who? It benefits yours if mine are knocked out of the game. That's why we don't let them get knocked out. That's why I fight, and that's why I will continue to fight. And you as well, my sister.
All right. Well, thank you.
Unapologetically me. Wakanda forever.
Okay, Wakanda. Thank you, Lillian, attorney Lillian Diallo, for your Black woman wisdom on this Friday. And you guys, Lillian is amazing. She's holding up the good fight. She's fighting for us criminal defense attorneys too. She's fighting for everybody. So love you, bless you. Have a beautiful evening, and stay Black, stay strong. And I'll talk to you later.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Care.
Okay.